Hashem.
Oh, okay, good. Much better than talking to me.
Huh?
Much better than talking to me.
If you feel like it, the chair has to be centered.
Okay. I definitely feel like it.
It's amazing that this place every day is something new here, and they blocked off the parking lot here now.
Yeah, I think they're moving the tents over there.
They're moving the tent?
I believe so, yeah. That's what I heard. Violations of hot.
Hmm?
I think they're doing it because violations and things like that. That's what I heard. I don't know. You know, you never know. It could change 10 times.
There is a small little sign on the other side of the room by that house in North Town.
Yeah.
They made a parking lot there.
Yeah.
And I didn't read the whole thing, but for sure it's a violation. You see, they have like a big handwritten sign or something printed in the letter size.
Yeah.
And somebody told me that they have constant violations here. They just keep on paying the fines.
Are you shocked?
I don't know.
If you were an inspector, you don't think you'd spend your days here? It's kind of hard. There's a lot going on here. It's all temporary, you know?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, in my mind, you know, I didn't hear it from anybody. I can just see a huge shul getting up here and a huge parking garage.
Mm-hmm.
So they're moving this entire tent.
That's what I heard, that they're moving these bolster tents, but I don't know.
Moving it just.
Stay tuned. Let's see what you see tomorrow morning. That's what I say. Morgen, Chodesh. What's happening?
Guten Morgen. This is what I say, the Schlossgar, Arbeit wie geschmiert. Is that the expression?
Wie gespielt?
Geschmiert.
Wie geschmiert.
It's like oil, grease.
Thank you.
Reb Nachum,
Yeah.
why did they block off the parking lot here?
I don't know.
Who is the Kokler who knows all these things?
The Rabbi probably knows. Junior.
Junior?
Yeah, Junior will know.
It's a different guy here now.
Chodesh.
Ziva condition. This translation, Latin name, Latin term, because today that's a disease that's only transmitted more and more. It cannot be that was great.
Thank you. So everybody understood about the Eitz Hadas yesterday? Ist verstanden? Ein bisschen. So,
I didn't see the positive side of it. I saw the negative side that
yeah.
I didn't see the positive side. I saw that the Rabbi should put the good in the bad. You know, the Adam and Chava ate the tree of Das and brought the Bechira into the world, and now we have this tremendous, Yetzer Hara.
Right. Right. So that's the Havasiroisi Machala Mikirbecha. The Machala Mikirbecha. Let's see again the few words that the Balatanya says. This is important to understand. It's on top of 158, yeah? Look who the wind blew in honor of Rosh Chodesh Adar, Shenichras Adar, Marben Besimcha. So he says there's the Nekudas, you see the second line on the left column. I just want to read these few lines again. There's Nekudas Klippas Gasas Haruach Shenasa B'Teva Ha'adam B'Chetoy Me'etz Hadas Tevera. There's the Iker Nekuda, the main point, because there's manifestations of it. But the Iker Nekuda, the core, the seminal point of the klippa, of the shell, the husk of Gasas Haruach. And he calls Gasas Haruach here a klippa. Klippa means a shell, like the klippa of a peri, right? The husk of a fruit, the shell of a fruit, a banana or an orange or a walnut. So he calls Gasas Haruach a klippa. And that's important because the definition of Gasas Haruach, of arrogance, we usually don't call a klippa. Gasas Haruach is usually translated as pompousness or arrogance or gaiva or haughtiness or a self-inflated ego. However you translate it, it's none of the translations are as good as the word Gasas Haruach. But literally Gasas Haruach means a thick spirit, a gas. Gas is thick, brute, dense, crass, coarse, yeah. Gas, coarse is better, yeah. So gas, it's a ruach, it's spirit that's coarse. So he calls it all a klippa, which is that just one word. All arrogance, all pompousness, all self-inflated egotism is really a shell. Which means, what's a shell? A shell is protecting something. Right? Why does a fruit come with a shell? Mother Nature, God gave us the gift of food, and every fruit, it has its cover, its shell that really protects it. Some have very thick shells, some have very thin shells, some are transparent, some are not. But many of them come with a klippa, whether it's the orange or the walnut. The klippa is there to protect it. But if you stick to the klippa, you never access it. You have to remove the klippa in order to access it, because there's no access without it. That's why you're allowed to remove a banana peel on Shabbos. It's not called boirer, it's called accessing. You want to access the banana. You're allowed to eat a banana on Shabbos. You're not separating the bad from the good. You're trying to get the banana. The only way you can get to the orange or the banana is by removing the peel. Why is it not a problem of boirer? This is a question in Allah. Shabbos boirer is asur, and boirer is removing the bad from the good. That's mamash what you're doing. You're taking off the peel, it's mixed with the orange, and you're separating it. So you could say it's not mamash mixed, it covers it. Most important thing is it's accessing it. So when you're accessing it, you can get it, you can enjoy it. So he says all Gasas Haruach is a klippa. I mean, it's always protecting something. That's what it's doing. It's protecting something. It's a shell, it's a husk. there's something inside there. There's always something much deeper inside. And you only when you can penetrate the clipper can you get through it. Yeah. So those words are very, very important to define Gasas HaRuach as a clip. Yeah. How did this happen? This was created in nature. In other words, it's not because you're unique. You're different than everybody. Yeah. You're somehow lower than others. This is the human condition. It's what we call teva ha'adam, the human condition. Where did this human condition come from? Is it essential? Is it ingrained? Is it eternal? She says no. It came from the first aberration. Chet is an aberration, which was Eitz Hadas Toivera, and that's why it's called Toivera. Why is it called Toivera? Good and evil. So he teaches the Hainu. The eight represents knowledge of Toiverna. No, that's a good thing. So he teaches, he sees himself, that's number one, and recognizes what's missing for him. Or the other side knows this is good. This is good for me. Or this is not good for me. So the first thing is Sheroyes Atzmai. He sees himself, and therefore Makir Chesroina. The next step is he recognizes his void, what he's missing. There's a Chesroin, there's something missing, there's a void. Yeah. Or saying, this is good for me. I recognize there's something I'm missing. This can fill it, this is good. And that's what happens. That's what happened with Chava. She looked at the tree and she said, this is good for me. This is pleasing. This is geschmack. A lot of adjectives in that pasuk about how good it is. That's why it says v'goymer. So this is the teva ha'adam that was created. Das Toivera. What's that Das Toivera? He teaches Das, knowledge of Toivera, is knowledge of the self and what the self may be missing, and therefore what could fill it, what's good for me. He says, V'zeu shoyrish hazuama moker l'chol ha'tayvas v'avedas. And this is the shoyrish of all zuama, of all distortion, of all toxicity. The word zuama is toxicity. That's the word I was looking for. Zuama is toxicity. Toxins are called zuama that goes into the body. It's toxins. It's like dirt. It's the source of all toxicity. The source. You know, from a source come out a lot of stuff. It could be, but the source is this. You touch the source, the shirish. This is the root of the tree. Umakar l'chol ha'tayvas v'avedas. Why? Because either he's choosing it for his taiva, for his ra. It can even be l'tayvasai or l'ra'asai, but that's the shirish. What's the contrast? What else is there? Knowing yourself, knowing this is good, this is bad. I mean, what else? So he said those few words, just mamish 3 lines. That before that they were naked. Hashem tells Adam, who told you you're naked? You must have eaten from the tree. Because they were not self-aware of any feeling of their chesaron, even of their void, what they're missing, including clothes, including that I'm missing clothes, or toiva la'atzma, or something that's actually good for me, which is also, I'm self-aware, I'm missing something and this can fill it. What? Yeah. What were they? Zombies? Dead? No. He says, their awareness, there was a hasaga. Hasaga means comprehension. There was an awareness of what? The revelation. There was a gilui elokos manifestation. They were manifesting godliness. Atkan. Pre. Yeah.
But it seems to be what the Baal Tanya is saying is that all it changed was the knowledge of it. So the facts were still there before. We were naked. We had a chesar
Yeah.
beforehand. We just didn't recognize that we weren't wearing clothing.
Right. Yeah. So you're asking?
So what's his last line of that we were Gila Elikus? If we still had the chesar, we had the Toiv and the Ra beforehand because we weren't aware of it.
Because an animal also is not market. They are also not market but they're not market Gila the kids. It could be
Right.
it's not a chokhmah that's Gila.
What's your shiloh? Something is. Ask. I just didn't understand your shiloh.
It seems to be that from the set, all we had was the change in awareness of what the reality was. We still had a reality of having a Kisaran and having Toiv, but we just weren't aware of it, which sounds to me like a problem. But then the Baal Tanya comes in the last line and says, no, this was not a problem. This was Gilui Elikus. This was
Right. It was not a problem. Right.
So what really was it? And what
Right.
Animals atheists, or they know that they're going to Are animals atheists, or they know that they're going to
Atheists.
Do they recognize there's something greater? Because
They don't have to recognize it. They are it. They don't have to recognize it. They don't. The problem.
They don't have people trying to comprehend things.
Huh?
It's different. Everybody's trying to comprehend.
It's like Gilui was before or after. I mean, we were on like animals before, right? Before Eitz Das. Pre-Eitz Das, we had something that all the animals have.
Right.
If there was awareness of any lakus, probably they also have it. No?
Right.
How to eat from the Eitz Das, so now we have to deal with it.
Well, we're all Adam and Chavas. I mean, the genes of Adam and Chava is you and me, and us. It's just a couple of years later, but not so much. Yeah. The turtle says it happened fast. We have here the definition, the description of the birth of consciousness. Das is awareness, consciousness, knowledge. Consciousness seems to be the ideal state. Awareness, truth, consciousness. People talk about developing a consciousness, expanding consciousness, getting in touch with consciousness. It's a big buzzword. In Hebrew, they call it muda'ut, which is connected to das, right? Muda'ut is an awareness, a sense of das. There's chachma, there's bina, and then there's das. We also define human consciousness as the human superiority over so many other creatures. At least our levels of consciousness or depth of consciousness, at least is much more. However you define consciousness, is the argument of, as you said, about animals and other creatures and other organisms, but certainly there's something about human consciousness that is very deep, very powerful, very acute, very aware. Our ability to be conscious of ourselves, or others, to distinguish, to ask questions like where we come from, where we're going, what existence is made up of, which allowed humans to reach where they're reaching. A virus comes, coronavirus comes, and people are not just victims, they ask a question. What is it? Where did it come from? What are its causes? How can we quarantine the situation? How can we stop it? This is This is Moiser Ha'adam, as we say, Moiser Ha'adam in Behema. What is superior over the Adam with the Behema. The animal also has his consciousness. The horse recognizes danger and also tries to avoid it, according to his limited skill set of what the danger is and what they can avoid. Yeah. So l'cha'ira, this is all very complementary of the human experience, consciousness, das. Especially das of Tov and Ra. Torah says good and bad. You want your children to know good and bad. You also would like your children to know if they're naked, wouldn't you? Would anybody disagree? You would probably like your children to know when they're wearing clothes versus when they're not wearing clothes. V'haraya, when your children don't know the difference, you'll probably be going to a lot of therapists to find out what to do and trying to schlep him to therapy. These are all good things. But the Alter Rebbe is saying, yeah, consciousness is a very good thing. Das is a wonderful thing. Yeah. Their whole life, people want to search. He says, yeah, that's great. You could see yourself and recognize that you're missing something. Wow. It's like, okay, you're already ahead of the game. You could see yourself, you could look at yourself. You could be self-aware, right? This is all what people call, so as I said, what people sometimes see as the purpose of life, he says is the beginning of all toxicity. The shayrish hazuama. So this has to be understood very well. But the truth is, there's another dimension here. This is, we have to go one step deeper. Consciousness also suggests that we're disconnected from the thing that we are experiencing. Consciousness is the greatest blessing. It's the greatest blessing in the world that we become familiar with. But essentially, it represents also a disconnection. A disconnection from the things we are conscious of. Because the mere fact that I'm conscious and aware of myself, distinct from my experiences and from others, means that there is a separation from the real experience. And let's discuss for a moment the natural universe. Not upset by human beings, not manipulated by human beings or defined by human beings. The natural universe. It's seamlessly connected to its purpose. In a seamless, extraordinary, symmetrical flow. If somebody looks and observes and studies, or just observes from the outside, the natural symmetry of nature, of the order of creation, each cell in your body, there's around 40 or 50 trillion cells. You heard this number a few times. The only room you heard this number. It's not million. 40 million is a lot. I don't know if you ever counted 40 million things. And it's not billion. 40 billion is also a couple of dollars. So they say. It's 40 trillion. V'yesh oimnim, it's close to 100 trillion. That itself is a machlaikas, right? 50 trillion, 100 trillion. Okay. But each cell, each animal, every atom, every single atom, and every particle of the atom, you're dealing with numbers that we can't even fathom. Each component is part of a complex and incredible mosaic which complements each other and never ever wavers from its course. Never, the atom doesn't wake up in a bad mood and says, why do I exist? I really need therapy. I need to drug up my, where can I go eat?
Well, I'm going to split today.
Very good. I'm going to split today. I'm having a split personality day. Right. Until the Manhattan Project, of course, introduced that consciousness into the atom, and the world was changed forever. We call it the atomic age. Yeah. The Alter Rebbe has a mimer. He starts the mimer, Lahavin Hatam, Shekol Habale Chayim, Smeichim, V'chol Ha'ilanois V'hatzmachim Smeichim. We have in English a word called animal bliss. Yeah. But I'm talking about animal bliss, not ignorance. Yeah. Animals, again, I'm not talking about animals living in Los Angeles or New York around people. Okay, I know this in Los Angeles there's therapists for dogs, but animals are not bored. Yeah. When you watch the puppy or the cat running around, the puppy is also thinking about something. But the question is not to piddle or not to piddle. That is the question. Or why didn't God create me a salamandra? Or what is the meaning of existence? What should I be doing with my life? Am I self-actualized? Which brings me to really think about what a terrible mother I had. And my father, Bichlal, was never home. Absentee father, a crazy mother, an addictive mother, which explains why I am mamish, a lost case and a victim, and I feel so lonely. Yeah. We could project all of this on animals I don't know what animals are thinking, so I can't tell you. But it's somehow not our instinct that this is what they're experienced. But it's not just animals. Vegetables, minerals, fruits, trees, bushes, shrubs.
You could apply this to little children.
Yeah, you're right. You could apply it to little children, yeah. But little children become adults. The animals remain animals and trees remain trees. And when you look at nature, you could learn from it. Look at the deer, look at the bushes, look at the shrubs, look at the rocks. And every tree knows exactly what to do. It has three purposes: survival, propagation, and enhancing the environment. And it never wavers. The root will know exactly where to search to get its nutrients and water that it needs. It knows it's responsible to create a new generation. It will do whatever it has to do for that. And it is focused on doing what it has to do to enhance its environment, whether giving it oxygen or the other benefits we have from it. Humans, on the other hand, are conscious of themselves. We become aware. This awareness, says the Baal HaTanya, essentially is the beginning of disconnection from our source. I analyze, I dissect, I want to understand, even if my conclusions are going to be actually very correct and moral and wholesome and even holy. He doesn't say it's a taiva and aved. It's the shayrish for all the taivas and avedas. It's the makar. It's the source. So what happens? Who am I is now not necessarily reflected in what I do, or vice versa. What I do is not necessarily a reflection of who I am. Unlike the natural order where every single detail, every iota is accounted for and lives up to its purpose. It lives up to its raison d'etre. Yes, not by choice, not by voluntary choice. It's just a manifestation of the divine system, and it may be unaware of it, or whatever level of awareness. I don't know if we know exactly yet what animals know. We know that the Navi says, Yeshaya tells the Jewish people, Yada shor koineu v'chamor evus ba'alav ami lo yada v'lo hizbainan. An ox knows who made it, an ox knows who bought it, and a donkey knows who owns its trough, but my nation does not know. Okay.
They've done studies with animals that are trained. What happens when you stop giving them a reward? Train them. A dolphin is flipping for a fish. He's been doing it for 10 years. You take away the fish one time. Some dolphins 2 times. So you take away the fish, they stop flipping. And it's over. It's done. All the training, 10 years of training done. Every animal works this way, except for human beings. You take away the fish, they'll keep flipping for 50 years.
That's amazing. So you could train a dolphin for 10 years. He's given fish 30 times a day. You take away the fish one time, he stops flipping. It's called clarity. We got a fish once. Yeah, we're still flipping 50 years later.
Yeah, that's where the gambling addiction, they say, they had a person had an early on big win, or they saw some excitement.
And that's it.
They want to recapture that feeling.
You want to recapture the feeling of the excitement. Yeah. Because I create reality in my mind. I create the reality in my own awareness. So there was, I think, the Chidush Harim or Chidush Harim used to say that the Chazal say that after davening you should eat pas shachris. You should eat. So he said, why? Why are you laughing?
There's a reward. I down to eat.
So he said, Poshet. He says, you daven, and nothing happened. So Chazal say, at least be like a shor and a chamor. Yada shor koinei, a chamor evos ba'alav. If davening can't get you anywhere, at least go to the trough and start eating. Because an animal knows its master. Okay, at least that. As a result of this, we have maladies that the natural order won't have, which is primarily called a neurosis. Person becomes neurotic, and it's all a result of consciousness, anxiety, fear, insecurity, loneliness, aimlessness, a lack of purpose, internal stress, and a lack of wholesomeness, compartmentalization. Consciousness at its core, says the Alter Rebbe, is a state of disconnect. That's what it is at its core. It's a misalignment between being and the essence of being. There's the essence of being and there's the manifestation of being. And when they're misaligned, that's what consciousness represents. So yeah, I'm looking for the essence of being. You know why I'm looking for it? Because I'm not one with it. I'm trying to feel one with it, and the more I'm trying to feel one with it, the more it means I'm not one with it. Because if I'm one with it, I become it, and I'm not aware of being it. And the more aware, the less connected. So even spiritual awareness is really the source of all toxicity, because this means there's a disconnect between the oneness and my experience of it. The greatest obstacle to true life is experiencing life. I remember once, I was a young bacher. There was a big Rav. He came to see the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he said, Lubavitcher Rebbe, wie filter sich? In Yiddish, there's an expression, wie filter sich, which literally means, how do you feel? But the translation literally is, how are you feeling yourself? Wie filter sich? So he said, without skipping a beat, he says, the Shveret Hamal gesagt, my father-in-law once said, as me fehlt sich is shenish gut. He said, how are you feeling yourself? If you're feeling yourself, and then he explained, this is a beautiful metaphor, and it's so real. When is your body in the healthiest state? When you don't feel a thing. And the more healthy you are, the less you feel it. You know, after this great workout, you should feel your body everywhere, right? I'm not talking about there's an ache or something, which represents that something is wrong. But like after this great workout and you're eating perfectly well and your food is mamash aligned with your blood makeup and your chemistry, so your nutrition is perfectly aligned. In other words, your body is optimal. It's up in the optimal level. And you walk around, there's a lightness, you don't feel anything. You should think if you're healthy, you feel it. It's like, you feel. When you start feeling your head, what does it mean? It means you're having a migraine. And when you start feeling even your pinky, what does it mean? It means there's a scratch, there's a boo-boo, there's a cut. Your pinky was cut. And when you start feeling parts of your body, even if you don't feel pain, but you feel lethargic and heaviness, it means there's a disalignment. It's time to lose weight, it's time to get in control of your cholesterol, whatever it is, you'll discuss it with your local doctor. And when chas v'shalom somebody is really sick, they just stop feeling it. So, in psychology and spirituality, it's exactly the same thing. The experience of it, I'm feeling God. I'm feeling great, wonderful, I'm awesome. Yeah, in a post-Eitz Hadas, it's gewaldig. Essentially, that's the source of disconnection. Because what does a healthy body mean? A healthy body means a body that is a conduit for the soul. The electricity and the body are completely synchronized so that the body is one with the soul and there is a seamless flow from the neshama through the guf. So the real guf is completely one with the neshama. That's health. That's health. The body, the mind, and the soul are completely one. There's a seamless flow of energy through the body. The body doesn't feel itself. When the body starts feeling itself, it means it's looking for connection because it's disconnected. It needs attention. Why do you need attention? Is there anybody here who doesn't need attention? Why do I need attention? The pinky saying, notice me, notice me. My me is crying, my me is struggling, my me is not healthy. Notice me. So, when my pinky is completely part of the organism, it's part of the miracle, it doesn't say notice me. Because what makes it healthy is that there's no me to notice.
So the neshama doesn't feel anything?
Pre-Eitz Hadas or post-Eitz Hadas.
Chiropractor says no subluxations, right?
That word I didn't know. No subluxations?
Subluxation.
Subluxation.
Alignment of the spine.
Alignment. We have here a chiropractor, and he always says the tachlis is that the chiyus should go right from the brain and the central nervous system through the 100 billion nerve cells. Remember that number? Down the spinal cord, out the nerves into the whole organism. And they become part of all. So you say, well, 1 second, the pinky, no, give it ego, give it identity, come on. Yeah, break your pinky and it'll have identity. Identity, the search for identity is the symptom of brokenness. You made a face. In the post-Eitz Hadas world, I search for identity because, yes, I am self-conscious. I also feel my body because I have to lose weight. But we call it a chayli, we call it illness. In illness, I feel my body. That's the direct result of illness. In health, you will never feel it. I once asked a big, great pianist I met once. We were schmoozing. He played in Carnegie Hall. A real musician, a soulful artist. So I asked him, how do you know that you're doing well? You're playing the piano. Yeah, there's thousands of people. How do you know that it's Segate good, right? So of course later you could find that if they invite you back, if there was a standing ovation, right? And if there was no standing ovation, you're in therapy for 2 weeks. And he said, how do I know that it's going well? And he gave the best answer and the truest answer. He says, when I'm not in a position to ask that question. The moment you're playing piano and you're asking that question, of course it's not going well. You're living in your mind. You're narrating the story of, you're like a video camera. You're not there. You know people who go on vacation with video cameras? They say, okay, let's go have fun. So they go out on a boat, right? And they're with a video camera. So you say, what are you doing? In a year from now, we're going to want to have memories. They are the video camera, always. So some people are not with a physical video camera, but they're with a psychological video camera. You're not living life. You're videoing your life and you're playing it back.
Now you have a GoPro. Now you have a GoPro.
Whatever, the technology adjusts, yeah, it's adjusts to self-consciousness. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not present, yeah. You had a family event, you're videoing, I'm not present. I'm narrating the story to myself. Okay, I'm playing piano, they're watching, what do they feel? I'm very good, I think I'm excellent. I'm not good. No difference what the answer is, you're good, you're great, you're horrible. Even the feeling that you're great is toxic. And it's going to lead next time to depression.
Think of an analogy like a phone. When it's searching, that means there's no service. When there's service, there's a flow.
Very good. Yeah, when the phone says searching, it means there's no flow, there's no service. We're searching for ourselves. Why is this so important? Because this means that the depth of the spiritual search is also a result of the Eitz Das. Adam and Chava suddenly become aware of themselves in contrast to actually being themselves. What does it mean to be yourself? I don't know, I didn't live before the Eitz Das. I'm trying to figure it out. But what does it mean? So those are his last two words in the Maimer. Being yourself means you're a living manifestation of the divine. The Baal Shem Tov says, Gott is alt, alt is Gott, all is divine, and you are a manifestation of the divine. That's what you are. That's what I am. Where am I feeling myself? Why should I feel myself? The moment I'm asking myself, am I spiritual? What do I need in life? What do I really want? Do I even believe in anything? Don't I? Am I happy? Am I sad? Yeah, I'm happy. I'm sad. Now you say, so we should stop thinking about these things. It's like say, okay, so let's take off our clothes. They don't have a problem when they're naked. What is their body? Why they're not? You ever go to a sheep and you say you're naked? Put on a kapota. Huh? You ever tried? Put on a kapota, put on a streimel, put on a spodek, at least put on a baseball cap. It's not pshat the sheep will look at you and argue with you. No, according to our minhag and Shulchan Aruch, you don't have to wear so many levushim. There's no awareness of absence, like in that baby running around the dining room without clothes. There's no awareness of absence. Self-awareness, consciousness, and sexual self-awareness are all tied into each other. It's all the same thing. That's why Adam and Chava became aware that they were naked and they were embarrassed. They became ashamed of it. Because intimacy, sexuality is the most powerful force in nature. It's responsible for continuity, and it exists in every single living organism. Trees have intimacy in their own way. There's the male flower and the female, and they have to get together in order to be pollinated and create a new generation. Hashem made that Zachar and Nekeva exists on every level of creation. You have it in Atzilus, Zah and Malchus. You have it in Bri, Yitzir, Asi. You have it in they have it in the world of botany, of course, in every rodent and insect and animal and even fish and birds and humans. More complicated over there. But the structure of atoms is also mashpia, makabel. It exists even in daimim. But in daimim, like in everything, it's not visible. We still have to figure out what's going on in daimim. Yeah, the yin and the yang, there's male, female, there's mashpia, there's makabel, the different particles of an atom. It's a system of zachar and nekeva. Everyone is in a marriage. Marriage is inherent to the way God made the world. There's relationships, and the relationships are complicated. And there's a system. The bee is in a beehive, and the bee needs to eat. So the bee comes to the flower, and the bee takes from the flower the nectar that he wants to feed himself. And the Vaila, he casts some pollen over the flower, right? He pollinates the seed, which is zera. He makes it fertile, and it reproduces. That was a chuppah. You just watched the Siddur Kiddushin over there. Yeah, there was no Sheva Brachas. You didn't have to pay the caterer $60,000. You weren't deliberating about the wedding for 3 months before. Is it a good shidduch, not a good shidduch? I like the shviga. Let's go to premarital therapy, postmarital therapy. Right? Yalla!
The awareness allows for
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. Something happens as a result. That awareness itself must be linked with that which transcends awareness. But you first have to identify this challenge before you identify the great glorious purpose. You're right. Every Yerida is Tzarech Aliyah. There's no, in Chassidus, there's no such a thing. They ate from the Eitz Hadas and we're doomed. That you'll have in, that you don't never have in Chassidus. There's no such a thing. If you're doomed, it means, ooh, now you can get to the truth, right? You learned enough to know that. And the more you're doomed, the better it is, of course. Because but it doesn't mean you're not doomed. It just means, because if you can't live with the chisaron, with the issue, you're not going to be able to heal. Denial, right, is never the way to deal with the Eitz Hadas. What's the difference between consciousness and self-consciousness? What's the difference? What's between consciousness and self-consciousness? What does it mean to be alive? I'm sorry for asking all these questions on a nice Wednesday morning. What does it mean to be alive? What does it feel like to just exist, to just be? Did anybody ever have this feeling? What does it feel like to just exist, to just be? You don't feel anything, Rabbi Litzman. What does life feel like? What does living feel like? Rabbi Isaac, what does living feel like? The answer is, if you could feel life, something is wrong. We are always feeling life, at least some of us. That's our issue.
Feel very happy and exuberant. How can it be wrong?
Right. But if I'm saying I think I'm feeling happy. I think I'm feeling. Health doesn't have a sensation, as I said. Pain, illness. When things go wrong, they feel like something. When I'm breathing normally, when there's a regular heartbeat, I don't feel a sensation because I just am. The same is true in the mind. When the mind is really one with its purpose, this extraordinary complicated mind becomes a seamless conduit. So life means to be. Being has no sensations. It can experience a sensation, but on its own it just is. And as soon as I feel that I exist, I cease to truly exist. I became disconnected from existence the moment I feel that I exist. The more I'm aware of myself, the less I am myself. There is now a disalignment between the I and the me. And the more I'm in that place, the more I'm disaligned. So we are at our best when we are least aware of ourselves. The truest experience of life is when you're completely immersed in the experience to the extent that you cannot distinguish between you and the experience. Now, I don't want you to hear the wrong messages, because people who have been abused in life, when they hear this, you know what they're hearing? You're a shmata. You're a nobody. Even thinking about yourself makes you such a loser. You understand? But that's only because myself is so shattered. Imagine for that moment, this is not abuse. This is the self as infinity. And the self as infinity cannot be experienced, because that actually means I'm taking myself and I'm quarantining and I'm putting it into a little box and I'm trying to figure it out. That's why he calls Gasa Saruach Klippa. What's a Klippa? It's a shell. All shells don't allow you to access yourself. This sense of self or arrogance is really an insecurity. It's basically looking for something that doesn't exist and desperately trying to make it exist and feeding it. Why? Because it lives in a shell, it lives in a klippa. That's the klippa's gasas haruach. And all shells means they're blocking. What are they blocking? All gasas haruach, which at its core is the sensation of self, is blocking me, from me. It's blocking me from me. Now, I am always I. There's something beneath the klippa. The question is, can I know the I, or am I always disconnected from the I?
It doesn't fit because we have something called simcha shel mitzvah. You see, sometimes somebody has no connection with Yiddishkeit, and you put on tefillin on him and he becomes very happy. Now, he's aligned. How can you say there's a disconnection?
He improved his alignment. He might not be 100% connected, but he improved he's more aligned than he was.
Yeah.
So he's self-aware.
There's something in the world of artists, it's called being in the zone. What does it mean you're in the zone? You're in the zone is you become one with the experience. You're a seamless channel for a higher energy that works through you. You're not detached from it. Imagine all your life activities were driven by your inner vision. You were never detached from the true essence of your life, ever. You were always fully, that's called presence. What does living, they talk about living in the moment. What does living in the moment mean? Real living in the moment means I am completely immersed. There's no detachment. Before Adam and Chava eat from the Eitz Hadas, Eitz Hadas is wonderful. You know good and evil. You know what's good, you know what's bad. It's wonderful. What were they? They were seamless beings. They were transparent vehicles of their soul's oneness with God. That's what they were. So there was complete symmetry between spirit and matter, between Ruchni and Gashmi, between heaven and earth, between form and function, between soul and body, between being and purpose, between existence and my manifestation of it in my daily life. They were seamless beings connected to their purpose. Therefore, they didn't feel self-conscious about their nakedness or their sexuality. The Shalah says, why should they feel shame? Do you feel shame when you expose your arm and you put on tefillin? What's the shame there? Every part of the body is sacred. There's no shame in any part of the body. God didn't make mistakes. We don't have this Christian idea that certain parts of our body are evil, repulsive, grotesque. It's a horrible idea. It's seeped into some people's minds. Whatever, it's a separate issue. We spoke about it a few times. I got in trouble also. Huh? I'm saying it can be misconstrued, it can be misused, it can be misunderstood, of course. But in essence, it's all a manifestation of the divine. It's called the mitzvah of Pruervut, the first mitzvah of Torah. There was nothing to be embarrassed about. Until there was the Eitz Hadas. The Eitz Hadas created a whole new reality. When they ate from that tree, they became detached from their own essence. Suddenly, there's I and you. There's I and there's thou. There's a creature and there's a creator. There's a means and there's an end. And now I have to figure out the creator. So what's the first question Hashem asks Adam? Ayeka, where are you? Why is that the first question? Because before the Eitz Hadas, there's no question, where are you? It's a ridiculous question. You come into my yovel and I say, where are you in life? You wouldn't even understand it before the Eitz Hadas. What do you mean, where am I? Who's this I that you want to know about? This I is divine. And what makes it so powerful is that there's no I. Again, I'm going to say this. If you were abused as a child, it's very hard to hear this because what you're hearing is, there's no I. And what do you hear? There's no I. Here he goes again, telling me that I don't exist. You understand? This is a different type of non-existence. This is a non-existence that is the healthiest form of non-existence. It means you don't take yourself so seriously, not because you deserve to be abused and stepped on. You don't take yourself so seriously because you're healthy. Because you're in a very good place. People who are healthy emotionally don't take themselves so seriously. They don't have to. They take the cause very seriously. The cause. There's people who don't take the cause seriously, but they take themselves seriously. There's people who don't take themselves seriously at all, but they take the cause seriously. The cause, truth. It makes all the difference. Descartes said, I think, therefore I am, right? The Alter Rebbe would say, God thinks, therefore I am. I am a divine thought. That's what I am. And that's incredible. Or if you want to put it this way, I am, therefore I think. Our problem is, I think, therefore I am. No. I am, therefore I think. My thinking comes after my being. My being doesn't follow my thoughts. When you're self-conscious, your being follows your thoughts instead of your thoughts following your being. Did I just make sense? Yeah. Pre-Eitz Hadas, yeah. I am, therefore I think. Now I think, therefore I am. And I have to figure out who I am. Oh, I think now I'm in a bad mood. Oh, I'm doing well. The world likes me. No, I'm very lonely. And you know how often this is in your head? When does this stop? It ever stops? Unless you're drunk. Right? You understand why people get drunk? Or you're sleeping. And when you're sleeping, the dreams. Just exaggerate this a little more. The mind was the mind was God's mind. You learn Gemara, you'll see what the mind does before the Eitz Hadas. I mean, real Gemara. It was God's wisdom being manifested through the human mind. Of course, they weren't animals. When I speak about animals, I don't mean it with the chisaron. I mean it with the maila.
In theories of language,
Yeah.
a child doesn't develop a sense of self, self-consciousness until they're able to talk. So when the mind is able to verbalize I, you, the sense of self emerges. So that the mind creates a das. It's a pre-verbal mind. There's no isis. The isis, without what I'm saying, the isis is creating
Disconnect.
this self-consciousness.
So did they not speak before Eitz Hadas?
Of course not.
What's this for?
The serpent spoke. They're like, oh wow, speech is interesting.
Then she convinces her husband to eat it.
It's just she gave it to him. The Nachash spoke. Because speech really begins also with the practice. Abavram, practice.
I know the language very well. It feels very natural to me.
Practice.
Rabbi, he spoke to her. He said, "There's a power." That's in that somewhere.
Yeah, Vayomer, you're right. Vayomer Adam Zoisapam, yeah. So what is so now so in conclusion, so self-awareness, he's saying, is also the conscious sense of separation. From whom? From me, from God, from life, from reality. So self-awareness becomes synonymous with all guilt, all shame, especially sexual guilt and shame. Mamish synonymous with it. When I'm self-aware, it means there's an identity crisis because there's awareness. Before I eat from the tree of self-consciousness, they're shame-free. Why are they shame-free? Not because they're unscrupulous, because there is intimacy with the oneness. After that, I get wrapped up in my own identity. You know, they say teenagers become very self-conscious. And what do teenagers do much of the day? Yeah, they look in the mirror. I want to ask you a question. When you open a family album, a group album, let's say you went on a trip with somebody, whose picture do you look for first? Why? Why don't you look for my picture first? Why does everybody do this? You look for your picture first. You don't know you exist. That's the answer. You don't know you exist. You're looking for proof. Oh, there's a picture of me. Hooray! Rabbi, why exists? I see a flyer. I look at my picture. Baruch Hashem, I exist. How would I know otherwise? I don't know otherwise. I have proof. Look, big picture. And the bigger the picture is, the better. The bigger the existence. That's not going to help. Then I'll go to therapy that I'm not sure I exist. Taking away the picture, you're still in the same game, don't you understand? It's an orbit. You could take away, it's not, you have to go out of that game. You have to go out of that mindset. I am godlike. I am divine, if you haven't known Aaron, right? But I inject it with the toxicity of self-consciousness. And the moment I do that, he said it's the source for every taiva and every avera. Everything just follows from that. From there to get to an avera is very far. It's not, but it's the source. Yeah, now we're post-Eitz Hadas. Now, if I'm a teenager and I'm doing things that I feel are not good, so now my self-consciousness is compounded with mountains of shame and mountains of guilt and mountains of secrecy from everything that's going on my phone that nobody knows besides me. So now when I'm 26 or 31 or 42, there's like guilt from here to China, right? Much more serious than the virus. And the shame is from here to the Philippines. And it drives me deeper into my head, right? You ever watch these people? You're completely in my head. I'm further away from reality. I'm more and more, any event I'm in, I can't even be there. I can't even look at you. I'm in my head. I'm narrating my life to myself, away and away from reality. I took the human condition from Eitz Hadas and I exaggerated it, and it became a titanic malady. All trauma is basically our condition exaggerated, dramatized. It's just compounded. And I can't function like this. Why? You can't narrate your experience to yourself 24 hours a day. You want to be in the moment. You come to a chasana and you want, instead of, you ever see how people dance? You could see two types of people, right? So one person is narrating the experience. I'm at the chasana, what do I look like? Do I fit in? Don't I fit in? Does the chassan want me? Does he want to not dance with me? Should I go into the circle now? But it's going to look that. But it's only family. But it's only for chashuva people. But I'm a pretty chashuva guy. But I don't think I'm a chashuva guy. But my mother told me I'm a chashuva. Yeah? You relate to this? Okay. What do you don't. What do you guys think? Should I go in? But what if he rejects me? What is all of this about? What is all this all about? I'm not living. I am videotaping, and I'm the narrator of my life. That's who I am. I'm not living. My eye is somewhere hidden away, and basically I'm in the job of narration. That's what I do. I narrate my life. I'm here, I'm there, I'm here, I'm there. Shir went well, the shir didn't go well. You think they liked it? You think they understood it? Should I give this? I think I should quit. I'm never doing this again. You ever have this one? I'm never doing this again. The common, even if you say I'm always doing it again, it's still in the same nakuda. I'm just self-narrating. I'm further away from reality. I'm stuck in a cerebral mind game, which means my mind is completely alienated from itself. So now, if I'm very sensitive to this, I look for numbers, because I just want to forget about this narrating role in my life. I don't want to narrate my life. So I look for numbers. So I come into a family gathering. I can't be present. Some people, before they go into gatherings, Hanukkah parties or Purim parties, whatever, they do other stuff because they're stuck in their head. And there's so much distraction, I can't function. Why do people take out their iPhones in the middle of meetings or in the middle of a shir? Why? In the middle of davening, in the elevator? Why? You just took it out 4 seconds ago. Trump didn't tweet you within the last, well, Trump maybe, but you didn't get the most important message in the last few seconds. Why am I doing this? What is going on? Huh? I'm trying to self-stimulate. The present company is just, it's too hard for me. I always need that distraction. So that's why Noach drinks and he becomes naked. He's trying to undo the first sin. The problem, of course, is that Noach lives after the Eitz Hadas, and getting drunk is not going to help. So the addict says, I'm going to get trashed. I'm going to get wrecked. That's his way of dealing with the Eitz Hadas. I understand him. And for once, he has 10 minutes of serenity because he's wrecked and he's trashed and he's out of his own head and he feels alive. Nebuch, he's more dead, but he feels alive. He can't function soberly. The only difference between me and the addict, or some of us and the addict, is that he just feels Eitz Hadas much more acutely, and I don't. You understand? He feels it much worse, especially if there was abuse and dysfunction in his life. So addicts are spiritual canaries who feel the Eitz Hadas much more, and therefore they have to medicate themselves much more. So what do we need? Oh wow. So what do we need? So that's why you have to learn Chassidus every day. That's why you learn Chassidus every single day. That's what you need. It's oxygen. It's oxygen for the Eitz Hadas. And there's nobody who's not part of the Eitz Hadas. We're all in it together. Some of us just manifest it in more acute ways because they're more aware of it. That's it. I told you, Dr. Tversky told me that addicts are the most spiritually sensitive. We need relief from our ego. But here's the deal. You can't get out of yourself. It doesn't work. You can eat, you can take drugs, you can go to websites, you can be on your phone all day, you can go to every website in the world, yeah, as a number. You can do exciting things. You can get in money, or covet, or gambling, or whatever it is. But it doesn't work because you can't get out of yourself because you are yourself. We can't get out of ourselves. We need to get over ourselves. There's a big difference. You can't run away from yourself. You have to take yourself and lift it up to a place that's above yourself. You can't take yourself seriously. You have to embrace your humanity. That's why Adam is called Adam, because he's Adama. Right? He's called Adam. Why? Adama. What does Adama mean? Dirt, dust. No offense to anybody. Have humility. Embrace your humanity and get over yourself. Don't get out of yourself. Lift yourself up. When you stop taking yourself so seriously from a place of health, you can really be vulnerable with your humanity. You could look, and the Bible said, have real compassion. Compassion from a place of truth. I could be and be vulnerable with it. Yeah, the moment you become a demigod, you become detached from God. When you become vulnerable and real, you could become more godlike. That's what's self-transcendence. Be lucid, be sober, right? And realize the self-consciousness, have compassion for how human I am, for how distracted I am, for how disconnected I am. And I could notice it and then say, but I want to be here. I want to be here now. I want to be aware without compulsions to distract. I don't want to retreat into my head. Don't retreat into your head. Don't become separate, different. You are one. You have to open yourself up to that. My mind will not let me do that because I have the trauma of the Eitz Hadas. But when I'm aware of that, I could feel compassion for it. And be aware of what I'm doing. And the moment you're aware of what you're doing, you can choose how to actually live your life. Okay, my friends. Go manifest oneness. Go manifest oneness. Huh? I'll email you. Yeah. I said it. It's not secret. Thank you for I thought you'll give me a standing ovation today. No? After everything I explained, you don't give a standing ovation? Okay, we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it.
In other words, you can't get to that place?
You could. If you wouldn't be able to get there, you wouldn't talk about it. You hear what he says? He says Chassidus is a number also. It could be. Everything could be a number. Huh? Depends how you take it.
Is the ultimate goal to come to the three Eitz Hadas stage?
The goal is to synchronize the two. Now I can go back. I don't have to go back.
No, but I'm saying that in terms of Mashiach and Tchias HaMeisim, is it to restore all Yidden to that state?
Yeah. You came the right day.
The person who started chiropractic in 1895, he said the purpose of the chiropractic adjustment is to unite the physical in man with the spiritual in man.
Beautiful. Can I trouble you for the Gemaras over there? There's three books. Yeah. There's two books. Yes, beautiful.
Yesterday, I don't know what the significance is, but the coincidence is 1 in 100 billion.
Yeah,
Albanian people, I don't know any, never met any.
yeah,
I have a car lot, used car dealership in Haverstraw.
yeah.
I'm never there. I do the purchasing. I have a customer comes in at night. Bestnick. Never heard the name in my life. While he was on the test drive, I sold another car to somebody named Bestnick.
They're not out there?
Interesting.
It's billion to one. Never met a person with that name.
Yeah,
Know
of
any
course.
guys with Albanian?
Every year you did this for an aliyah. It's not, you don't go back to Pri Eitz. Now you go to higher than Pri Eitz. You understand? Pri Eitz, there was a certain element of you were one. Now the chiddush is that everything becomes one. Even self-consciousness becomes part of oneness. That's how much that's...
Did Adam Arishan understood it before he ate?
Three the number?
He probably understood it. That was the Yetzer Hara to eat. The Yetzer Hara to eat was...
It was a kosher Yetzirah.
yeah, of course. They didn't have an ugly Yetzer Hara then. There's a mimer from the Balatanya's grandson, based on his grandfather Titus, that he says it's probably, I don't know if I ever saw such a deep word about the Eitz Hadas. That the Eitz Hadas was that Adam and Chava were looking for Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. They were looking for the experience of God, because they didn't have the experience of God. They were God. Huh? What? That's true. The shirish of every sin is you're looking for Ava and Yer. That's true. That's true. The shirish. But by Adam, what was their sin? They were looking for the Ava and the Yer, the experience. I want the experience. I want the video. I want the video of the chasana. You got married. No. I want the video of the wedding. I want to sit on the couch, eat popcorn, and watch the video of the wedding. You're married. What's that? That's nothing. I need the action, the detachment. Also, the video you could cut whatever is uncomfortable. You do the wedding in 3 minutes. Was darf sich mutschen 6 hours? Huh? The greatest people know what it means to be in the moment. In other words, this is it. It's not, why am I not in the moment? Because I'm waiting for the next moment when I'm going to talk about this moment. You know what I mean? But when you realize it's all Hashem, so what are you looking for? This is it. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better. This is where it's all at. You say, yeah, but I'm bored. What do you mean you're bored? Who's this you that's bored? The word I'm bored is the etzem of kfira. It's the source of everything. Well, I'm bored. So, I mean, you don't know who you are. Don't you think you're bored? Does the sun ever look bored? Do you ever look at the sun? I'm bored. This is a stupid world. What am I doing? Huh? Kleiner Miskalman of Piasetzna once said, yeah, he feels he teaches, nobody listens, and nothing. Then he said he went out in the middle of the night, he was in a bad mood, and he looked at the moon. And he said, it's 5,500 years, the moon never stopped. The moon never says, nobody's looking, nobody cares. A ganze Nacht, I'm here. I decided I'll be like the moon. You have to shine. But that whole struggle, I'm bored, I'm lonely, they don't like me. It's all, yeah, it's the form of self-abuse that came from the... Okay. Huh?
Boredom is like Hel Marotzah. It's like you forgot what you want.
You forgot who you are. You're trying to remember who you are. What do you mean I'm bored? What's this I that's bored? Who's this I that's bored? You're a manifestation of the divine. When I'm really me, there's no such a thing bored. I'll wait till tomorrow, next year. This guy is boring. This day is a bad day. There's no such a thing. This day is a bad day. Go tell the 2-year-old this day is a bad day. It's a boring day. It's not a boring day till we give them games. They're not bored. They climb trees and they create worlds. They're not those things as bored. Adults, I'm sitting. What do I do with my life? Because I don't know who I am. Right? The sheep is not bored, the goat is not bored, the elephant is not bored, the bear is not bored, the lion is not bored. If you have to hunt, you hunt. If you got to play with the cubs, you play with the cubs. You hunt, you come back. That's the whole Barchi Nafshi. Today we're going to say Barchi Nafshi. Barchi Nafshi is the seamless flow of nature. Hakfirim Shayagim L'Tar of Tizrach Hashem. You ever do Barchi Nafshi? We do it before Musaf. Okay, Chevra, I didn't realize how late it is. I was immersed in the experience. No, resend. Please resend. What's your last name? So resend, I didn't see it. Moses hat gefällt a guten Schierheit. They sagen that Rabbi YY was on. They sagen he was on. He was in the zone.
I made it to the, I think the 8th pasuk by the time they were done yesterday. That was pretty good.
Oh yeah, over here, yeah, you gotta, yeah. You were at the 8th pasuk. Do it in English today. Do it in English. Barchi Nafshi is something to do in English. It's a beautiful chapter. All of science and one chapter of Tehillim. That's true. They do it fast, yeah. From Jews are good at this. As somebody once told me, he was a chazan here for a year in shul. So he said 2 things you can't do too fast. V'hu rachum on Monday and Thursday, and karbonas before davening. Whether it's 19 seconds or 3 minutes, it's never too fast.